Hey everybody, it's GoblinX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today we're going to be playing another Arena Cube draft. We've only got a few days left of Arena Cubes and only a few days left in 2022 as a whole, so let's round the year out with some pretty sweet drafts, shall we? Without further ado, let's get into the Pack 1, Pick 1. A lot of really fun cards in here, a lot of really powerful cards in here as always in Arena Cube. Some cards that stand out to me as pretty fun first picks. We've got Gilded Goose and Lanimore Visionary as really good little ramp cards for the green deck that just help you set up your mana, get ready to play a lot more big explosive plays like Portal to Phyrexia and stuff. You don't really take the big explosive plays first, you want to take the early game setup plays first. They're just a lot more important to have a lot of copies of in your deck. For the same reason, some of these cheap interactive cards like Fatal Push are pretty nice pickups. Just a nice cheap removal spell against more aggressive creatures. Restoration of a Gonjo, though, is a card I like a lot in white. It just fits really well into any white strategy. Gives you a ton of impact for only 3 mana. So it's probably my personal favorite card in the pack, and I might just roll with that just from personal preference reasons. But again, Fatal Push, Goose, I think are probably the best picks just for being really good 1-mana plays, but I'm going to go Restoration of a Gonjo here. You can really season to taste in the Arena Cube, especially when you're not playing it competitively like today. We're just playing it for fun. It's like a 4,000 gold event. Definitely not a mountain of gems on the line or anything. So we're going to start with Restoration of a Gonjo, and here in pick 2 we have Maze Mind Tome, which is a great card for any mid-range deck, which pretty much every deck outside of like mono red and mono white does end up being somewhere mid-range, somewhere between like aggro and control. A deck that can try to play both halves, depending on how it draws and what archetype your opponent's playing. So I like Maze Mind Tome a lot here, just a nice open pick for really any archetype. Roll with that, see what we get past pick 3. Very obviously is going to fit into any color pair. Ooh, I haven't gotten to do the Golos 5-color stuff this time around. I do think it is significantly weaker this time around than it has been in previous cubes, especially since this isn't a chromatic cube. So the aggressive strategies in this cube are really, really powerful and will just devastatingly punish you for playing the slow 5-color Golos archetype. That being said, I haven't drafted it a single time yet, and I really enjoy playing it, so go for Golos here, and if we get lucky, we can wheel like cards like the Gilded Goose. If the people in this draft pod take Gilded Goose as a good sign that green's relatively open, that could be a big problem for me, though, because green's one of the most important colors for a 5-color deck, since it's the best color at fixing your mana. So we'll start with Golos there, but we don't really have a great follow-up. I mean, Chandra's like a fine big 6-mana play to ramp into. But Precursor Golem, I guess, for being completely colorless, just 5 mana, 3/3/3s. If your opponent doesn't have specifically instant or sorcery removal, then the card's very good. So if you're playing against like white and all their removal is enchantments, or if your opponent just doesn't have a lot of removal spells. Yeah, I mean, Precursor Golem seems fine here. It fits into any deck as well, which is nice. Like, it's probably not a super high pick, though. Maybe I still just go with Chandra as a great card to ramp to. Or Brazen Borrower for the cheapest interaction. Yeah, I'll just go with cheap interaction. Don't really know there. It doesn't feel like a great follow-up to Golos in that pack. Got a Cultivator's Caravan, which is definitely a solid follow-up to Golos. We've also got cheap interaction with Pillar of Flame, 1 mana, 2 to any target, and you exile any creature killed with it. Soul Transfer is okay removal. I like Pillar Flame a lot. We have a blue-red deck as a backup, Brazen Borrower, Pillar Flame towards blue-red spells. Not like locked into this whole Golos plan yet. Caravan would be fine for it, or either of the duels would be fine for it. And Pillar Flame would still fit into that deck. I feel like if I'm not getting past like a lot of good green mana fixing, I'm probably just going to hop off the Golos plan. Which is why I'm a little more open to still taking cards for other archetypes here. Reckoner Bankbuster is very similar to Maze Mind Tome and gives any deck in the format a little card draw engine for a bit. Could take that here, double up on them. Seems fine. Mirari Conjecture is fine for blue-red spells, but it's like the worst card in blue-red spells out of their doubling effects, like Double Vision and Ral. I think those are both just better. Alright, well, we did get an Essica God of the Tree. There's also an Oracle of Moldiah, though. These are both phenomenal green cards. Good lord. Well, I guess we just didn't see a lot of good green yet. Now we're really seeing it. There's still decent, like, blue-red spell stuff here, though. Otsawara and Jwari Disruption. I feel like I take Oracle of Moldiah, though. It's just such a devastating value play. Eska is very nice for the green-based 5-color deck because the front half can help you get to your 5 colors, and the second half just gives you another big 5-color kind of card to try to bomb out with. But Oracle, as there's a huge value play and ramp play at the same time, is phenomenal. Beaumont Courier quite late for mono red aggro, or any red aggro deck at that matter. Very good card because it just gets in for that haste damage and makes sure you can refuel late in the game. For more on the Golos plan, we immediately take Woodland Cemetery, but if I still want to be open to like red-based aggro, we take Courier. I think at this point, after just taking Oracle Moldiah, I'm pushing towards that Golos plan. Alright, this was our opening pack. We did not wheel a Gilded Goose or a Llanowar Visionary, and those were exactly the kind of cards that I really needed to be wheeling. I need other people to not be taking those kind of green ramp cards, so I took Oracle Moldiah as kind of a signal that the green rampy stuff could be panning out, but if both those cards are gone, really doesn't feel like that's going to work. So now we might actually push in towards that red aggro with Krenko here still being in the pack. And there is a Chain Whirler here, great sign for mono red. These green cards are good green cards, but not for like green ramp based stuff. Those cards vanished, so the Chain Whirler here, Riveteer's Requisitioner, Monastery Swift Spear. Yep, that's just what we're getting past here. Red aggro stuff. We're definitely not playing Woodland Cemetery, but at this point, we're probably not quite mono red. So we're going to keep every other card in here so we're open to our secondary color being pretty much anything. So we're kind of off the whole ramp strategy, so Koma's not going to make it. Elder Gargroth's really good in green. We could be just red-green aggro with an Oracle and an Elder Gargroth. Experimental Frenzy is going to be a really good card draw engine for like the mono red deck. Voltaic Visionary, though, is also just a busted aggro red card. 2 mana for a 3/1 to just beat in, and it's got an alternate ability as well, where you could potentially draw an extra card off of it, and if you do, it turns into a 4/3 to beat in with. Unholy Heat, though, if we need to take a red card out of here, if we want to take a red card out of here, is probably the pick. It's the least likely to wheel and the best in the largest majority of decks. Blue-red didn't look that cut off. We did see that Mirari Conjecture nice and late, so Unholy Heat would be really good in that blue-red deck, and we'd already have Brazen Borrower and Jwari Disruption for that strategy, so I actually think I'm going to take Unholy Heat here. We're definitely playing red, and Unholy Heat's going to go great in any red deck. And it's the least likely card out of all of those to wheel. Here's a Ral Storm Conduit for blue-red. Move into the blue-red spells deck. Some cheap removal with Pillar Flame Unholy Heat. So we're going to be a blue-red spells deck. More on the aggro front with Monastery Swift Spear, Riveteer's Requisitioner. Probably don't get to play Goblin Chain Whirler. But that's about it. Yeah, blue-red aggro spell seems fine to me. I could also just take this Ox of Agonis, which we can play in mono-red or blue-red, and then if we wheel Ral, that is our guaranteed sign that we just get to move into blue-red. The only deck that wants Ral is blue-red, so if I already think it's open, probably just guaranteed to wheel that, in which case I take Ox first. Alright, I'm not 100% confident that I'll wheel that Ral. But I feel like if I'm in a draft pod where I don't wheel that Ral, I don't really want to be in blue-red anyway. Because that means somebody else is taking my sweet cards for the archetype. Brawl's Expertise seems pretty great for blue-red as well. Bounce 3 artifacts or creatures and cast something with mana value 4 or less for free. Can really stabilize you against the aggro strategies, putting their whole board back in their hand and also casting a spell of your own that turn. Super, super good. Well, there's a Torben and an Eidolon, so mono red's definitely a thing here. Mono red or blue red. I mean, that's a memory deluge. That's a mole drifter. I think memory deluge is better for blue red because we want to be able to hold up counter spells and stuff like Terraria Disruption, and then just cast a deluge if we don't cast a counter spell. God, is Torburn good with like Goblin, Chain Whirler, Krenko? Those are so good with Torburn. If I take Eidolon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 other cards, there's going to be 4 cards left. I think there'll be a Torburn with 4 cards left. I don't know, but if there is, then I'm going to go mono red. Take Eidolon here. Lightning Strike is very, very good in either deck. Actually, Lightning Bolt's literally just strictly better. Didn't even notice that, but that's a super good card. Tyrant of Courages is also great, but it's also 6 mana. Lightning Bolt, 1 mana instant speed, really can't be beat. And it's super, super good to double up in the blue-red spells deck and just super good in the mono-red aggro. Take a Lightning Bolt there. All right, pretty committed to mono-red or blue-red at this point. Golos isn't going to go in either of those. I don't think Devilish Valley is really going to go in either. Brash Taunter just sucks in mono-red. It's just really slow and dirtily. So we just take the card that's good for blue-red, the Haughty Djinn here. Angel Fire Ignition is actually pretty sweet for red-white, but I only have one other white card, Restoration. I have Expertise, Borrower, and Disruption for blue-red. Yeah, blue-red looks like it'll be a lot stronger. Take the Haughty Djinn for that. Great red burn spells here. Obliterating Bolt is better in the blue-red spells deck. Searing Blood is way better in the mono-red aggro deck. But both are good in either. This might be wrong. I'm going to take the card that's better in blue-red spells. I feel like it's more likely that we wheel a Ral than we wheel the Chain Whirler. Or the Chain Whirler, the Torburn. But we'll see. Magma Quake would be good in blue-red spells. One-sided Wrath if we only have flyers on board. We can double it up if we don't have enough mana to make it big enough. It's definitely better than Omen of the Sea, because it's an instant or sorcery, which is an important card type. Wield the Voltaic Visionary and the Experimental Frenzy. I'm actually starting to get a little confident that we'll actually wheel a Torburn. I don't know if I'll have enough red cards to play mono red, though. I'm going to take Voltaic Visionary. We definitely need a really high creature count. Experimental Frenzy is good, but I'm not going to play Seize the Storm in mono red, so I will take Ral, which we are wheeling. Now I have a Lightning Axe. That card's pretty much unplayable, but not playing anything else here. Alright, I wheeled the Torburn. Maybe I should have drafted red a little more aggressively because it's kind of unlikely I get to play full mono red. I'm not going to play a 6 mana card in a mono red aggro deck. Although it's such a huge finisher. Is there supposed to be some kind of weird, like, big red deck here? With Brash Taunter and the 6 mana red card? Maybe I'm supposed to... You're almost never supposed to take the 6-drop if you're trying to be mono red aggro, but... If my deck... Oh my god, last pick Searing Blood? If my deck ends up having Maze Mind Tome and Reckoner Bankbuster in it, like, we're gonna be a very slow, kind of weird, grindy mono red deck. Wow, this pack was kind of a complete miss for mono red. Command is, like, fine. But it's not good removal, because it's always going to cost a little bit too much. That's the thing about X mana burn spells, is that your opponent's going to play a 3 mana 3/3, and you're not going to be able to kill it till you have 4 mana, because then you have to spend 4 mana to shoot that down. You would much prefer your opponent spends 3 mana to play a 3/3, and then you spend 1 mana to bolt it, or 1 mana to strangle it or something. So I'm not a huge fan of these X spells, but it's literally the only card for mono red, so... A really big blue-red spells card, though, for super late game. I still want to do that, but I got a Torburn, so I'm doing Torburn things, and you can't really stop me. Wow. There's Epiphany, though. Could have had a sick blue-red spells deck, but I'm going to take a sick mono-red deck instead. I'm only 3 cards away from being a mono-red deck with 17 lands, and then every pick I make, we just get to start cutting lands out. Take a Battlecry Goblin here, I think. Do need to look at the curve of creatures. I am kind of very low on 1 mana creatures. I'm very low on creatures in general. But especially 1 mana. for a mono red deck. May actually be taking the Fireblade Charger, although I don't think any other deck wants Fireblade Charger, but like red, green, and stuff can use Battlecry Goblin well. I think I'm gonna take the Goblin and try to wheel the Charger. I don't think I actually want any of those burn spells. I've got plenty of burn spells here. Fable the Mirror Breaker is the best red card in Arena. We'll take that. Shivan Devastator is also quite good, but 3 mana for 2 2/2s, one of which creates a treasure every time it attacks. The other one can duplicate your stuff with haste. It's just busted. Even if it takes a while to get both of the 2/2s. Very nice, cheap little burn spell. Only shoots creatures, but 10 creatures right now. Maybe I'm on Siege Gang Commander. I'm still feeling really low on creatures. I don't really want to play Lightning Axe, so I've got Bolt, Pillar Flame, Unholy Heat, Lightning Strike, Obliterating Bolt, Searing Blood. 6 great creature removal style burn spells. Siege Gang Commander should wheel more likely than Impulse. I'm going to take Impulse here. Those are the 2 cards I want out of that pack, though. Fiery Impulse and Siege Gang. Wow, Smoldering Egg's actually bad in mono red because you need to cast a high mana value of instants and sorceries. This is great in blue red where you do cast some really big instants and sorceries, but in mono red where most instants and sorceries you're casting cost 1 or 2 mana, actually not very good because it just takes a long time to flip. So we can take a big dorky creature, just another piece of interaction like Flames of the Firebrand. Fight with Fire, we're just not going to have 9 mana in mono red, so I'll take Flames. Definite, I was going to say definite Phoenix of Ash, but Glorybringer's some stiff competition. 3 mana, 2/2 haste that can keep coming back from the grave later to be a resilient threat, or really nice game ender Glorybringer here. 4 power flying haste. Just damages your opponent really quickly, and it's a removal spell on a stick. I'm going to go with Glorybringer here. I think we're a little more lacking at the high mana drops, which we're actually going to have to play because I don't think I'm going to get to cut that many lands. Nice Yoshino Pyromancer here. I don't have enough non-land cards that I can start scooping up non-basics for my mono red deck right now. Alright, Royal Eruption versus Legion War Boss. 2 very good options. 12 creatures plus a Saga is 13 creatures with Fable. Alright, sorry Royal Eruption, but I want more creatures. We'll go for Legion War Boss here. Want to up that count to as close to like 15 to 17 as possible for this aggro deck. Probably as close to 17 for mono red. Wield the Opus. We found the 2 open archetypes. Could be mono red aggro or we could be blue red spells. And I really could have done either, and I think I would have ended in a pretty comparably strong deck either way because we're just getting everything wheeling to us. So we're just going to go for the strong mono red aggro deck. It's just the deck I'm a little more comfortable with. And it's still going to be really strong here because we have enough cards to start cutting cards like Magma Quake that just don't work well in here. And still dropping down to like 15 lands, like we cut Tome and Bankbuster. And then there's just a 15 land mono red deck. Seems good to me. Probably just not going to be any deck building today. Oh my god, we wield Phoenix of Ash. That's a huge pickup. That's a huge pickup. Now I get to cut probably Brash Taunter, being the worst card in the deck right now. I didn't wheel Siege Gang Commander. That's actually a little weird. Maybe somebody's like Rakdos Sacrifice, but I think we just wheeled some kind of Rakdos card there. Yep, again, could have been a sweet blue-red spells deck, but I could also be a sweet mono-red aggro deck. Those are both very powerful archetypes, so it's really just a draft pod where we kind of just got to pick the deck that we personally preferred, and I'm much more in a mono-red mood today. Do some very simple gameplay, curve out with our creatures, play some removal spells to keep the board clear. Yeah, this is a super simple deck. It just does exactly what mono-red wants to do every time. Curving out with some decently powerful creatures at their respective mana costs. Having a bunch of burn spells to back them up to delete our opponent's creatures or shoot them in the face for the final few points of damage. Incredibly self-explanatory deck, and it completely built itself here, so that's the deck overview. Let's just get into the gameplay. Alright, here we are in game 1 with our sweet mono red deck. We got a turn 2 Visionary. If I hit any lands, I've got a Fable of the Mirror Breaker on 3, and we've got our great late game dragons to burninate the countryside. Let's just get this going. Ooh, am I not on the play? That would be a little bit sad, but it would make the keep a little bit safer because we'll be drawing a card first, getting towards that third land. Alright, I am on the play. My opponent just had to mulligan there. Unfortunate start for them, but hopefully that bodes well for us. Drop a Voltaic Visionary. If I don't draw land next turn, it's going to be very, very painful, but I probably have to tap Visionary and hope for a land off of it. And then if I don't hit a land off of that, we're going to have a devastatingly bad time. Okay, I did immediately hit a land. Feels wonderful. I definitely can just attack with the Visionary here. The trade here is fine. We get the lifelinker off the board. If they don't take the trade, we're not super happy about that because they do have Menace and lifelink. It'll be hard to race that card. I think because of the Menace, I'm actually pretty interested in dropping a Krenko to get more 1/1s, but it's almost definitely better. Just get the Fable of the Mirrorbreaker on board, get it towards flipping sooner, and most importantly, a Goblin that produces treasures every time it attacks, pretty valuable here, but we don't know if we're going to draw more lands, but we do know we have great spells to play for 4 or 5 and X mana. A Krenko might actually be a little slow here. Really want to hit a land this turn. This Ophiomancer is a super bad sign for us. Want to get rid of that. I'm kind of going to get to the 5 mana for Glorybringer. Yeah, probably getting rid of Krenko. I don't think I'm getting rid of Torbran. Maybe I get rid of Devastator as well, or just really try to hit 5 mana. It actually seems reasonable. I don't want to flood out here, but, I mean, land is the worst draw. I do really need to hit one of them. Yeah. Let's see. Alright, I did hit one land here. Perfect. It means I get to Glorybringer post-combat, but I guess that's only if I put my Shaman at risk. Could just bolt the Ophiomancer so they can't get any more Death Touchers. If I do that, I can do that and play Charger. I could also play Torbran here. There are so many options. Might be on bolting the Ophiomancer so I can actually get in with things multiple times, but I guess if I get a flyer on board, I don't need to kill the Ophiomancer anyway. Yeah, we'll just go for the Glorybringer here. I'm actually probably playing Fireblade Charger Bolt this turn, because since Glorybringer has haste, we can play it next turn either way. And by getting the treasure token, we make sure even if I don't hit a land drop, I'm still playing Glorybringer next turn. Okay, you're going to trade into the Snake, which means I actually do really want to bolt the Ophiomancer, because now we know they won't get another Snake. And now I've still got that treasure round for Glorybringer to be cast next turn. I could shoot myself in the face here and just see what we get. I guess I already played my land drop like a doofus. I should have shot myself in the face. And played a land off the top if we hit one. And played whatever spell it was if it wasn't a land. That was a pretty sloppy curve there. There were no like massive punts, but that was not the ideal curve there. The ideal use of the turn. Should have just not played the land and then, yeah, post-combat I probably just shoot my face with Visionary before I play the land. Is the goal. Could double block and kill this Null Priest, but I don't really want to do that. If they attack, I'll just let it in. Okay, and they're not going to attack. They have 4 mana up in black, and they have something at instant speed, or they wouldn't be thinking so long about the Fable of the Mirrorbreaker flip. Pretty sure we play around removal and don't just slam down a Glorybringer. Slamming down a Torbran? Seems decent. Might be what we go with here. I could also just shoot myself with Visionary. That's probably better. That really plays around removal. I'm just playing cards that really don't matter. Let us shoot ourselves in the face. You know, the really fun thing. Oh no, Torben doesn't damage, double the damage to yourself. I was gonna say, it would have been really fun if Torben doubled the damage that we'd be dealing to ourselves. With Voltaic Visionary, that would be very funny. So now I can afford to cast Torben and hold up a Lightning Strike, and we're not really going to draw removal for anything else. I mean, maybe they'll remove the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, but it's Summoning Sick now, so they would do that in our end step anyway. Which means if I want to draw the removal, I have to play nothing this turn. I just hold a Lightning Strike and attack with Charger. See if I can get them to kill the Reflection. It doesn't feel ideal. I probably play Torben. And we gotta play it pre-combat so we do get value off of the extra damage, but fairly certain what's gonna happen here is they're gonna kill Torben before the Charger hits them. No, they're gonna hostile negotiations. Okay. And this is why we do commit to at least playing something here, so that if they don't just immediately have the removal, we get an infinitely more impactful turn than if I just hard played around removal and held on to Lightning Strike. I would have been in a bad spot. Give them a Massacre Worm. They have 4 mana. That would give them the mana for it, but it takes 2 more turns for them to cast it, or I can give them unknown cards. Massacre Worm does kill Charger and Reflection, but again, takes them 2 more turns to cast it. I think I'd give them the Massacre Worm in the lands. So if they tap out for a Massacre Worm, Torben and Volt Charge Berserker won't die, Glorybringer won't die to that either. The only cards that will die to a Massacre Worm are cards that I can pretty freely just start trading off here. Kind of sad Reflection can only copy non-legendaries, unlike some of their newer cards now that can copy legendaries and they just make non-legendary versions of whatever legend you copy. Because that would be really funny to have 2 Torbens on board. But oh. Well, that's exactly what Massacre Worm was already going to kill. Anyway, so... I mean, Torben and Volt Charge Berserker survive. Volt Charge hits for 6, Torben hits for 4. That's 10 damage. They're just dead to Lightning Strike to the face. We just Lightning Strike to the face and then I drop a Glorybringer and send in? Oh no, Torben doesn't die. I think it's still right to Lightning Strike. Torben doesn't live, Torben dies. I think they still die to this though. Oh, we're 1 damage away? Is Battlecry Goblin more damage than Glorybringer? Oh, it is! Battlecry Goblin kills them. I play it. Goblins get +1/+0 haste. No. It's the exact same amount of damage. I deal 8 to them either way. I'm 1 damage off. Because I can play this and buff it, attack for 8, and a 1/1 tapped and attacking. Or 3 and a 1/1 tapped and attacking, sorry. So 4 + 3 + 1, that's also 8. So 8 damage either way. If I had 1 more mana, this would be lethal. Because I could play it, buff it, and give it haste, attack, and then give the Goblin +1/+0 as well. Since I can't do that here, I think I'm supposed to Glorybringer and kill the Null Priest so they don't have lifelink on board. And then I still have a haste creature to play next turn. Alright, I misplayed that hard. For some reason, I was thinking of Gix's command as either toughness 2 or less, or I was thinking it as like mana value 2 or less. I didn't register that was going to kill Torben. I probably should have just held on to Lightning Strike. Here's Liliana of the Veil. Each player sacks a creature. We're going to have to sack Glorybringer because Volt Charge Berserker threatens to win the game single-handedly right now. And they scooped him up. Berserker was just going to win by itself. But I was about to play 2 more haste creatures just in case. So, very good stuff for us there. And we're going to start this draft off 1-0. Here we are now in game 2 with another phenomenal curve. If I don't hit a land, that could be a problem. But turn 1 Fireblade Charger, turn 2 Eidolon of the Great Revel, especially on the play, it's going to be a really rough time for our opponents. Every little cheap removal spell they cast to try to stay in the game is going to be damaging them, or any cheap creature they cast. So we're pretty happy with this hand here. We'll see how it plays out. Opponent probably has Once Upon a Time in hand. I can't think of another green 1-mana instant right now off the top of my head. So I assume it is the 0-mana green instant. Lets them look at the top 5 cards of their library, choose a creature or land, put into their hand. They could also just be playing in full control mode. Against an empty board state, I think Krenko's a little better than Phoenix. Phoenix gets that damage in faster, but Krenko's going to threaten to make this board just insurmountable. Go on the Krenko game plan. Alright, so they had 2 mana up at instant speed now, so the number of cards that they could be holding up now is just astronomically increased. No really knowing what's in their hand here now that they have 3 mana. I think they probably have a Once Upon a Time. Like, it's literally either that or they're just in full control mode. But Once Upon a Time is the kind of card that it's best to wait as long as possible before you cast it. If they have a Settle the Wreckage, they still don't have enough mana for it, so pretty safe all attack. They don't have enough mana for any of the flash flying blockers either. Those are also 4 mana, Restoration Angel and the dragon from Kamigawa. I mean, this is a pretty disastrous board state for them. If they don't wipe the board right now, at 4 mana they could have a Day of Judgment, destroy all creatures. They could also have, of course, the Settle the Wreckage, exile all attacking creatures. Opponent is going to have to play some blockers though, so they're going to play a Spirited Companion, which Eidolon of the Great Revel coming in hot there, shooting our opponent for 2. Again, just really showing off how powerful Eidolon of the Great Revel is. In your aggressive decks, your opponent's life total just matters so much more than yours, and Chain Whirler's a nasty draw. I'm pretty sure we already have lethal, but might as well get the companion out of the way and just be incredibly confident that we do. There's no such thing as a 2-mana Settle the Wreckage, so attack with everybody, and I don't know what they could have here. Tamiyo's safekeeping, okay. Pretty sure they're dead. But that does keep it on board against the Chain Whirler, and it gains them the life to pay for the Eidolon having damaged them, but looks like it's not enough. Opponent is going to scoop them up. Math is for blockers, though. I did not math that out, but as one can assume, that was incredibly lethal, and we are 2-0 heading into Game 3. Here we are now playing against Headology Magic. I believe they are a streamer on Twitch, which is very cool. Uh-oh, mono red mirror match, and they're on the play. That's going to be a bad time for us. Especially because we don't have a 1-drop. They have a lightning bolt in hand, or a shock, or a lot of stuff. Okay, red-green. We do have a turn 2 play. Here's a Battlecry Goblin. We're going to go full Goblin deck here. Aww. I wanted to go Goblin mode and just start ripping my clothes off and just flinging things across the board, but no, Battlecry Goblin has to get lightning bolted. Well, at least I was correct in my assumption. That makes me feel smart while I start potentially losing this game. At least I get to feel smart. Yeah, Battlecry Goblin was going to be a really, really fun little combo here because the Legion War Boss was going to be putting a lot of goblins on this board, so if our opponent didn't have any interaction here, any cheap removal, Battlecry Goblin to Legion War Boss could be a really devastating start. Turn 3 for Headology Magic. Llanowar Visionary is the play. It's a pretty brutal one for us because even if we shoot it with a removal spell, it's still got value by drawing them a card. So I'm not in love with shooting it, but Still think that's probably what we do. Maybe I wait till next turn. I can play War Boss this turn, and the next turn I can Swift Spear and Flames. But I could also do the opposite. I could Flames this turn and then Swift Spear plus War Boss next turn. I'm just going to get the Flames out of the way here. Make sure they're not ramping immediately. Rada, Heart of Keld. They can now play lands off the top, and they don't have a land on top, so if I shoot that Rada... that could be really good for me. Because we know they don't draw land next turn, and they're looking for one. Whereas if I don't shoot that Rada, and they have a land second from the top, then they could play it off the top next turn. So now we know they're not playing a fourth land dropped right now. They didn't have one for Rada. Probably pretty good against the red-green deck. Alright, Gala Greeters. Well, kind of have to kill that as well, but I've just drew into a Lightning Bolt, which is perfect, because I get to go War Boss, Lightning Bolt the Gala Greeters. This way, if they play any more creatures, they don't get treasures off of that. They don't get to gain any life off of that, all of that good stuff. And this Mishra's Command is hopefully going to be pretty deadly here. If they play a creature with 3 or less toughness, I can blow up that creature and do a bunch of extra damage to them, which should be huge. Obviously, if I just hit a mana here, then I'll just Glorybringer whatever their creature is. Alright, Voracious Hydra's pretty good. They get a blocker and kill our best creature. But I did hit that Glorybringer mana, so we'll Glorybring the Hydra to get in with our ground troops. They're down to 8, and we have Mishra's Command for 4 now. So 4 damage to a blocker and 4 extra damage to their face. That is not going to be lethal here. But they can't Glorybringer our Glorybringer, because they can only shoot non-dragon creatures. Which is a super rough time for them, but they can kill our Swift Spear. So again, this isn't going to be lethal, but it's going to kill their Glorybringer, which is more than worth it. So we're going to Mishra's Command here. Wait a second. Haste out of nowhere. Do this, give it haste, and then it has 4 power total. For 5? No, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Let's just kill the Glorybringer. Put them to 3, so they are dead to a Lightning Bolt. We've still got a Glorybringer on board they have to deal with, or they're dead on board to that. Well, there's Burn Down the House. They are dead to Lightning Bolt, but that is a land. And they can definitely recover the green-red deck here. I don't think we have any reason to discard this land. I think we just play it here. Fortunately, now our opponent gets to know that we don't have anything right now. But yeah, I don't have any like discard, draw a card kind of spells. Alright, this feels like an okay position. Okay, I don't think I'm like handedly winning because our opponent probably has more impactful draws than we do available. Like that can close out the game pretty quick. But Fable of the Mirror Breaker is very much a draw. They need 7 mana to flip that, so they just need to play 1 more land, and they turn that into an 8/8, which kills us in 2 hits. But they can't afford to attack with it right now, or they take some damage on the crackback. Is their own Flames of the Firebrand? Sure is. Pretty good here. Put them to 2. I do have a million cards that kill them now. Pillar of Flame, Shivan Devastator, Searing Blood, Viashino Pyromancer. That is the Searing Blood, so we will submit 0. We're going to keep this, and... Oh no! This only damages them if I kill a creature. Oh no, I just punted! Oh, okay, well... I wish I could see the top card of my library, because they just have to spend the mana to flip the Oddity and I'm dead, if they drew a land. If they didn't draw a land, I'm not actually dead this turn. If they drew a land, I'm dead on board, though. Yeah, I forgot Searing Blood only damages them if I killed the creature. If they play another creature, they're dead. If they play another small creature, something with 2 or less toughness. Maybe I got the numbers mixed up and thought it was 3 to the creature, 2 to the controller if it dies. I'm pretty sure I just thought that... Okay. I was going to say, I'm pretty sure I just thought that I didn't have to kill the creature to damage them. So what happens here is if I try to kill that with Searing Blood, they can adapt and survive. But if they try to adapt that, I can kill it and kill them. So, like, whoever blinks first dies here. So I can't blink right now. That's tapping out for that. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, since they tapped out for that, Searing Blood gets to shoot the Druid and do the 3 to face. And we finally... That's so lucky. Oh my god, we're so lucky. That's gotta feel really bad for Headology. I think they played really, really well. Like, that's... The line that they just went for there is a line that gets punished by, like, exactly Searing Blood, and that's it. Because I think their idea there was they wanted to make sure I didn't have, like, good interaction to survive here through the Primal Might. Give me an opportunity to try to, like, bolt this Druid or something instead. But Searing Blood makes that so bad. That's gotta be brutal. That's insane. I would be tilted out of the stratosphere if I was Headology there. Super close game. Very good game there. I almost punted that away. Again, Arena doesn't have a feature to see what your next draw was, but I guess if I had read Searing Blood correctly, I might still have kept it rather than drawing a card at random, because our options there are draw a card out of our deck at random, which has like 2/3 chance of just being like a land or like a 2/2 creature that doesn't have haste or something. That's not going to give us the win. And then like 1/3 chance of like immediate win. Whereas Searing Blood kind of also gives us like a 1/3 chance at the win, right? I think no. That was it. I just got really lucky there that it worked out for me. There's no way it was the right play because it dies to land. If my opponent just goes land flip, we lose. But they just didn't draw land. Yeah. I mean, the Searing Blood, it kills them if they just play any creature that has 2 or less toughness before the combat there. Which, I mean, is a moderately likely thing to happen. But again, if they just draw land, they're never going to do that. They're just going to go land, flip, kill. So that was a super close game, but we got monumentally lucky there. And I'll absolutely take it. 3-0 now. Nice, solid 3 wins no matter what happens. See if we can keep it going, get this gravy train coming, get a lot of gold out of the event. Play some more cube drafts before January. Alright, here we are now in game 4 with the Mono Red Dream. Everything's working really well for us. At some point our luck's gotta run out, especially after that last game. That was an atrociously lucky ending. But yeah, let's see, we're on the play again, which is definitely good. Opponent starts with a turn 1 Thraben Inspector. I'm just going to drop an Eidolon down immediately. That can attack into the Inspector all day without dying, and it's also going to damage them for every spell they cast. That costs 3 or less. And we're going to roll out with a Phoenix of Ash here, attack with everybody, drop a Torbran next turn. That adds to the Eidolon damage. Oh my god. Making the Eidolon do 4 damage to our opponent, but only 2 damage to us anytime it triggers. That's super nasty. Our opponent may have a counter spell here. Do I play around it with like a Blitz Requisitioner or something? Probably not. I probably just go for this and hope for the best. Because if they don't have a counterspell, if they just want to crack this clue and draw a card, Torben is so much better. Alright, and at least that counterspell does make our opponent lose some life, take some damage from the Eidolon. And now the counterspell is out of the way for Glorybringer next turn to be more likely to resolve, and our opponent's down to 12. The Wandering Emperor, just go for it right in the main phase here. Going to go ahead and exile the Eidolon, gain a couple life. Hey, that means the Phoenix is still around. I'll take it. Definitely play a Hasting Glorybringer, use the Phoenix to kill the Wandering Emperor, and use the Glorybringer to attack our opponent for 4 damage. Putting them down to 10.
Until next time, then.
Touch the Spirit Realm. I'm going to get rid of the Glorybringer here. We've still got a Phoenix of Ash to beat them down, and they're at 10 life. Mishra's Command can hit quite hard as well. Is there any way to kill them here? This can't shoot a player, so no. I could spend 2 mana for Requisitioner, 3 mana to give it +2/+0 haste, and attack for 7. That's the most damage I could do this turn. Probably better to just attack with Phoenix. Could also blitz a Requisitioner and play a Visionary, and then I draw a card off Requisitioner in the end step. Seems like a pretty reasonable line to me, and hold on to Mishra's Command. That way, if they play an additional creature, I can use the command to blow it up and do extra damage to them next turn. So Requisitioner are going to give us a treasure, draw us a card. Obliterating Bolt is the draw, so we now have 2 removal spells in hand. Beautiful. If the Phoenix of Ash dies and it isn't exiled, we can recast it from grave soon. Can't do it quite yet. I would need 1 more card in the grave alongside it. So if they cast like a Day of Judgment here to kill all creatures, we can recast the Phoenix from grave. What do I do here? I probably just go all out with this Mishra's Command. Phoenix kills them off a double pump, which I can't afford. So I guess I could just go for that, and then I don't cast anything. That way if they have removal spell, I don't get 2 for 1. Yeah. Probably just attack all. If they don't have a removal spell, Phoenix of Ash just kills them in the sky. Shark Typhoon. That's awkward. Mishra's Command would have beat them through a Shark Typhoon. Actually, no, it wouldn't, because then we wouldn't have the mana to buff Phoenix, so then they just block Visionary instead with the Shark. Okay. Yeah, no, that gets around our spells either way, because they're both sorceries, so. Alright, yeah, this is about as good as it could have gone for us. They have to block Phoenix of Ash, which means the Visionary gets to stick around. Yep, that's as good as the turn could have gone, so that's fine. Pass turn. I mean, I guess I could have hit them for 4 if I bolted the crab and then attacked with both. Then they would have traded with Visionary and I would buff the Phoenix to hit them for 4. That would have been reasonable. Alright, they're just going to scoop them up here now. Fair enough. They don't have the mana up to counter anything. I mean, they could counter something with Hermit's ability, but if they did, then the Hermit wouldn't be on board to block. And they don't have anything in the sky, more importantly, to deal with Phoenix. So we can just attack with that and buff it up. So we are now 4-0 with this very nice mono red deck, pushing into game number 5. This is a decent hand. It's a little bit awkward curve-wise, but we can always just play Pyromancer on 2 and Devastator on 3. And I'm still curving out Torben 4, Command on 5. Yeah, we've got an Eidolon to play around with as well. Could play a 0/0 Shivan Devastator, that's an option as well. Then I have got a 1-drop, so that might be worth it, right? I think we drop the Eidolon first, before anything else. Alright, fair enough. 1-for-1 counterspell. 3 mana up. Is it going to be another counterspell? Rather get the Pyromancer countered than the Devastator. And the Pyromancer still does just as much damage as Devastator. It's going to do 2 damage every turn until they deal with it. Just like a 3 mana Devastator would. Uh-oh. I don't want to play Torben because they almost definitely have a counterspell here, so I kind of want to just attack with Pyromancer first, then drop a Chain Whirler post-combat. No onboard interaction, it looks like. Oh, is this no counterspell too? I feel like they would have countered Chain Whirler. I can very much understand them not countering Pyromancer. But Chain Whirler? Alright, I guess it doesn't matter either way, they're just stuck on mana there, so just getting beaten down too hard by the mono red deck and they're going to scoop them up. Definitely a huge benefit of playing these aggressive strategies like this. You just never stumble in the early game, so when your opponent does, you really, really punish them and you can get some quick, easy victories like that. And we're going to be 5-0 heading into game number 6. Here we are in game 6, 5-0 so far. Opponent starts with Jetmir's Garden, a Triome. That does seem like a matchup I'd like to end up in here. Some kind of big, slow 5-color deck. If they don't draw a board wipe, we're good. Luminarch Aspirant. That's going to get bigger and bigger and bigger throughout the game, so I'm just going to bolt it immediately. This way I also get the bolt out of the way before the Eidolon is on board, so it won't be damaging me. I'm still going to play the Eidolon before anything else to damage my opponent as they play more cards here. Probably go for a Chain Whirler next turn. Play a 1 toughness card, that'd be beautiful. It's a Masked Vandal. That's horrible for me because Eidolon is an enchantment creature, so that gives them a blocker and kills my creature at the same time. Absolutely brutal. Well, we'll just slam down a Chain Whirler and pass the turn then. Chain Whirler, our best creature in hand at attacking into a 1/3. Essica's Chariot now from our opponent. This is some huge, huge, huge cards to help stabilize with. Putting me in a really bad spot here. Luckily, this is one of our few hands that has some card draw in it to maybe give us some longevity this game. This is not a game we're going to be able to end quickly. So let's drop a Swift Spear and hold up a Lightning Strike so they don't have a great attack with the Essica's Chariot. Feel like that's where we're at here. Because I don't really have any attacks into the Chariot. I guess I could send the Chain Whirler in, but then I don't have blocks for the Chariot. Then they just keep getting 2/2s and 2/2s and 2/2s every single turn. I think we have to just pass. Play the defensive here. Essica's Chariot's just a brutal card against aggro decks because it's going to put 2/2/2s on your board and a 4/4 vehicle you can crew. So it's kind of like you have to fight through 8 power and toughness off of their 4 mana card. Because you have to fight through the Chariot first, and then they still have those 2 cats. And that's if they never attack with the Chariot. That's 8 power toughness total. So, brutally efficient card at just mucking up the board and blocking. Still pretty good at attacking. Alright, they're just going to pass on through. Draw Pyromancer, which I can play while still holding up Lightning Strike. Seems fine to me. Still have the ability to crew that Chariot. We don't have good blocks for it if I attack with Chain Whirler. And if I attack with Chain Whirler, they can just block with a 1/1 or something right now to play around a bolt from me, which they have to be expecting here. With the amount of time that I've been thinking during their turn and stuff like that, they know I have some kind of instant in my hand. Also, because Arena's an absolute snitch. Rishkar coming out, putting a counter on the Vandal and the Companion, and those can both tap for a green mana now. Significantly increasing the amount of mana my opponent has, as does the Courser of Crewfix, letting my opponent play lands off the top and letting them gain life every time they play a land. That is very bad for me. Yeah, that's tremendously bad. I don't think I had an opportunity to kill... Oh, I guess I did have an opportunity to kill Rishkar before the counters resolved. I probably should have done that, because I'm pretty sure I'm going to kill this Rishkar to keep them off the other creature's mana, but... If I kill... Yeah, I should have killed Rishkar in response to its trigger going on the stack. They wouldn't have had the mana to play Courser if I did that. Since I didn't do that, I mean, now they have 5 mana even without these creatures, so kind of just over in terms of trying to lock them out of mana. feel like I just gotta hold it now. I mean, they have a bunch more spells to play, so Rishkar still helps them double spell and stuff. This still seems reasonable. I just missed the great opportunity for it, so that's definitely a punt. Requisitioner's not like great here, but still probably better to blitz it out before I discard it. I don't know, I'm still just gonna discard it. Let's get a fresh new hand, see what we've got. A 1-drop and 2 lands. These are very bad draws at this point of the game. These are what we want in the openers. Alright, well, definitely pretty large misplay last turn, but this is just a tremendous turnaround for the green deck. A few cards that are just very good against aggro in a row between Esika's Chariot Courser and now Ren and 7. Gonna lock up the board state. It's pretty much nothing in our deck that's going to turn this game around at this point, so we are going to scoop them up here shortly. Yeah, not too much to say here, just very good anti-aggro stuff coming out hot. And we're just not drawing enough gas to break through. Well, we didn't draw enough gas to break through when it would have mattered. The Esika's Chariot Ren 7 combo. Extremely going to take it there, though. Way too big of a board state to break through, and that is going to be 5-1 heading into game number 7. Alright, here we are now in game 7. Pretty solid hand. It can definitely flood out a little bit. That is what we're hoping not to happen. But other than that, great cards in it starting on turn 2. Opponent is on mono green so far on the play. Pelt Collector into Surf Aaron is a very aggressive, very threatening curve, and we're going to have to play the defensive here, where I can't really just start Eidoloning to damage them, because the damage I'm doing to myself going to be astronomical when I'm about to take like 4 damage to the face next turn, so we're in a position where we have to just kill this Surf Aaron right now. I completely forgot last game. Another thing that worked incredibly in our opponent's favor was the Masked Vandal against the Eidolon. That was a pretty brutal start for us, too. Masked Vandal for the Eidolon into the Esika's Chariot Ren and 7 combo. Yeah, didn't play it out particularly well, but just a devastatingly bad matchup for us last round. Probably not going to win that regardless. Well, this is disgusting. Turn 1 Pelt Collector into turn 2 2-power creature, turn 3 3-power creature to make this a 1-mana 3/3. Tremendously powerful on the play. It's going to make our X-mana removal like Mishra's Command horrifically bad here. Like I said before, very inefficient removal, because if we're on the draw, that's where it gets really bad, where your opponent plays a 3-mana 3/3, and then you only have 3 mana up, so I can only do 2 damage to their 3-mana 3/3. Or my opponent plays a 4-mana 4/4, I only have 4 mana up, I can only do 3 damage to their 4-mana 4/4. So these X spells are already pretty inefficient, but they get really bad on the draw like this. And yeah, and this looks like a really bad position for us again. Might just be another loss here, because now they get to attack with both of these and draw a card every single time they do. So we're just falling miles behind here. This game losing for much different reasons. Our opponent's deck is very similar to ours, where it's an aggro deck that's just trying to curve out and put pressure on the opponent. This game is much more kind of just like we lost the coin flip here. I feel like whichever player is on the play this game is going to have a pretty good chance at winning. And our opponent was on the play here, so just going to lose. Yeah, if you look at the exact reverse of this game, Would have had the lightning strike up to kill one of those creatures just the same. I would have had the command to kill the pack leader before it ever attacked, so they wouldn't be drawing a card off of it. Then I'd have the bolt for collector now. But since we're on the draw instead of on the play, I can now only afford to kill one of these creatures because command, again, is going to cost me all 4 of my mana. Only kill 1 or 2. And we just can't recover quickly enough. Well, if I could only kill one of the 2, gotta kill the one that can draw them cards, because that's just going to keep expanding their lead. And I can't play a creature big enough to trade into the collector, but I am going to play the Pyromancer so I can still cast my other spells without taking damage. The Werewolf Pack Leader, not only would it give them more cards, but it has the potential to attack as a 5-power Trampler, which is super brutal. Rishkar is also very bad for us. Counter on both of these creatures. Pelt Collector is now up to 4 power, which gives it Trample. And Jugan defends the Temple. Card's a little slow though, and it slowed them down, getting them to tap the Pelt Collector for something else. Kind of have to just kill the Collector here. I'm going to die to a Crawling Barrens. Actually, another thing to think about is if we were on the play here, opponent goes, we go Mountain Pass, they go Forest Pelt Collector, I would probably have gone Mountain Eidolon of the Great Revel there, and then it's possible this game plays out just dramatically differently because every other card they have is a 2-mana or less card. So it's possible the amount of damage Eidolon was going to be bringing in there, we could even just push on into the aggressive there, right? Because then they play a 2-2, turn 3, we strike the big thing or command it and get extra damage in. Yeah. It's not even just like... It's not even just the fact that we could have used our removal better like Mishra's command, but we might have even been on the offensive here. Now there's no hope because the Great Henge is kind of unbeatable for red decks. If your opponent isn't already at like 2 life and you have a Lightning Bolt in hand, the Great Henge gains them 2 life every single turn, and every creature they play comes with an additional +1/+1 counter, and they draw a card. So we are just not going to get through a Great Henge here. I could Unholy Heat the Rishkar, but I might want to have to... I might have to shoot the Remnant of the Rising Star because it's flying, and it's going to let them dump X mana into every creature they play from now on to just make a giant XX dragon. Oh, no, you put counters on that creature. Okay. Still probably have to hold Unholy Heat for that. Yeah, it lets them dump all their extra mana into making whatever other creatures they're playing even bigger. Of course, Great Henge triggers off of that. Don't even have to cast the creature. You can flicker them, you can flip your Saga. Alright, well. I can actually kill all of those with Chain Whirler. Especially if I use the Unholy Heat on the Remnant first so they can't put counters on them. I'm still just dead, but I'm gonna do this at least before I leave because this is hilarious. The Great Henge still takes over this game. It'll take a significantly long time to lose now, though. So I kind of do have a board state of blockers. Goodbye, Forest Dryads. Get out of my life. I have a 2/2 to block with as well here. Might even attack. 2/3 first strike and a 2/2 as a blocker. Maybe just 8 cards engraved to do that. I have 6 right now. No, it doesn't seem great. Trading this into the monk here. And then if I attack with Pyromancer, they just block with Rish cards. I actually don't have an attack. Alright, drop a Fable of the Mirror Breaker. Next turn, if I draw a mountain, I can just discard both my mountains, draw 2 cards. We're going to stick in it. I still think that our odds of winning are really, really low, but we'll stick in it. That's a top deck. We literally saw that their hand was completely empty. Very good card. There goes my Saga. And they're going to get a Rhino. Or a shield counter. Oh yeah, they get a counter on it and draw a card as well from the Great Henge. And a Root Wire Amalgam. Get another counter, draw another card. They can sack that Amalgam, turn it into a 9/9. Haste, and we did hit another land, which would have been fine if Fable was still on board, but it's not. I'm going to go ahead and leave now. Brutal turnaround here. The 5-0 into 5-2 is never fun. Why would you ask, Arena? But yeah, I don't think there was a lot we could do there. Just some rough matchups there, some rough draws. Just our draws versus their draws. Not really ever going to line up into a win, even if we play like an absolute master. So 5-2, heading into round 8. Here we are now in round 8 on the play. You'll love to see it. Turn 2 Eidolon or Requisitioner. Definitely keeping this one here. See if we can get that nasty beatdown going. Opponent starts with a turn 1 Hinterland Harbor. We're actually gonna go Requisitioner first here. Because if they don't play a creature, this is going to hit really hard, and they might be on like some multicolored, splashy, slow, kind of grindy deck, which looks like what it is, Harbor into Overgrown Tomb. I think if I saw any like basic land first, I'd probably go with Eidolon, but seeing a dual land first, I actually kind of like Requisitioner as the first play here. I can go for Eidolon now, though, because I'm never going to have the mana to dump into the Battlecry Goblin, so not the greatest ability there. Here's a Dryad of the Elysian Grove. Eidolon will shoot our opponent for 2. The Dryad is going to perfectly fix their mana here. And let them play an additional land drop. I forgot about that. That is destructively good. Okay, we've drawn 0 lands so far. Not ideal. I don't want to have to 2-for-1 myself to kill this Dryad, but I can't really hit them at all if I don't kill the Dryad, so... At least when Requisitioner dies, it gives me something back, so maybe I just send in Requisitioner. Sending in both doesn't seem terrible, though, because they seem like they're ramping up into like a big play where Eidolon's probably not going to shoot them that hard. They didn't have a 2-drop to play. Played 1 3-drop, now they're just going to play like a big 5-mana spell next turn, probably. Yeah, I think it's attack both. No blocks, alright. I'll take that too, and then we just play a Battlecry Goblin pass. They're down to 10. If their plan is to play multiple cheap removal spells to stay in the game, they're going to take some damage from Eidolon. Just like 2 points, because they'll obviously destroy the Eidolon with one of them, but still. Urtai Resurrected. We get to draw a card when they destroy something with that, which is actually kind of nice. Could help me hit my land. There we go. Let's go. Anything else from our opponent here? That is gonna be it. I draw into a Lightning Bolt. I can Lightning Strike plus Lightning Bolt and hit them for... Well, no, I can't kill Dryad with those spells. Strike plus Bolt is just lethal if they let the damage in, so maybe we just attack with everybody here. Chain Whirler post-combat seems fine if they block Requisitioner with Dryad. So they're going to take 3, putting them to 7 life. Lightning Strike plus Lightning Bolt is 1 damage off. So I Chain Whirler, and then if they don't get any life and they're tapped out, I just go Bolt Strike, finish it. We even have Pillar Flame for more damage to face. Well, if I hit a land, Pillar Flame still gets there through a Shieldred, but Shieldred, one of the historically worst cards to see as a mono red deck. Oh, I can kill them before that resolves. There's that. They're both instants. Okay. Yeah, generally, Shieldred is a really, really bad time when you're on mono red in the cube. This is probably, this is easily up there on your list of least favorite cards, because that sturdy 5 toughness there means you basically have to 2-for-1 yourself to kill this. And if you don't kill it, they're going to gain 2 life every single turn minimum. That's if they play 0 card draw spells, which is a really big way to stem the bleeding against a red deck, especially when you have a 5 toughness creature to sit there blocking everything they keep trying to attack with. So Shieldred's a really bad time for the mono red deck if your opponent can get it on the board early enough in the game. Luckily for us, they were just like a turn late on the Shieldred. That would have been super, super bad on the Urtai turn, because we're still stuck on like 3 mana, so I couldn't just like 1-for-1 Mishra's Command it away. I'd have to throw a creature and a burn spell into it, or throw 2 burn spells at it, or I was just not going to be hitting them. So decently lucky stuff there that they drew that Shieldred nice and late for us. And we had the 2 instant speed burn spells to kill them before their thing triggered. Oh, also, I'm an idiot. The trigger during our turn just deals 2 damage to us. It's the trigger during their turn that gains them life. So it wouldn't even have mattered. If they were Sorcery Speed Burn, we could still kill them there. I always get that mixed up. I haven't played a lot against Shieldred. I've basically only played against Shieldred in like 1 Dominar United draft, and then now a few Arena Cubes. But yeah, we're 6-2 now. Whatever happens with this mono red deck, incredibly happy with the record. We're getting 5,000 gold and 3 cards out of the event. We're leaving with more gold than we came in with. See what happens as we head into the final boss, win or lose. Here we are in the final game of Magic for the day, the deciding game to see if this deck gets to go on into the 7-0, or no, the 7-win Hall of Fame. Definitely not 7-0. So I'm going to be doing my hardest here, and it's a little awkward. We've got the 1-mana creature to get started and the 4-mana creature to finish it up. In the middle, a little awkward. We're just interacting with our opponent. But I'm going to keep it here. The one thing I am very sad about, as we could see from one of our losses, being on the play versus being on the draw, very, very pivotal, especially if you're an aggro deck. So having the deal breaker round, the final match, the final boss, being on the draw here, feels a little rough. Feels a little rough, but I'll be doing my best. Again, you can always win games on the draw. You can always lose games on the play. It's just like a 5 to 10% buff in your win rate being on the play, which is not horrible. But I need every advantage I can get here. We've got no losses left in the chamber. If we lose this game, it's over. And yikes, that's a really horrible card for us to see, because it's going to gain them a little bit of life and make their next creature even more efficient. Get some more counters on it, make it a better blocker. Luckily for us, their next creature is just a Llanowar Elves, which I'm definitely going to shoot. I can shoot that with Unholy Heat, or I can shoot it with Searing Blood. I'm going to get the more expensive removal out of the way. I can also just attack with Fireblade Charger, and whichever creature this trades with, I'm fine. And if it just hits them for 1, that's also fine. Alright, it's just going to hit them for 1. Let's Searing Blood the Llanowar Elves to keep them off of ramping up. Deal 3 damage to their face with that. Next turn, we're going to be playing a Phoenix of Ash. After that, we'll play a Torbran, unless there's like a really devastating creature we need to kill. That's our game plan here. Simian Simulacrum, definitely not good for us, but Definitely don't need to kill that with Unholy Heat, and now the Unholy Heat can't kill the pup, so we're going to play Phoenix of Ash, and I think we try to stay on the aggressive here because we have Torbran offering so much extra damage in the future. Another game where we drew our Mishra's Command. I don't think I'm going to draft this card very often in the future because it's just so horrendously bad on the draw like this. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're on Phoenix of Ash here. We have no way to kill the Tenacious Pup, and the Simulacrum is just a 2-1. Yeah, play the Phoenix. I think I actually only attack with the Phoenix because the Charger's actually just a really good blocker here if we're racing our opponent. Because it can block all the Tenacious Pup's damage and kill the Simulacrum at the same time. We will take 2 damage from Simulacrum, but I think it is just a really, really good blocker. Whereas just hitting them for like 1 more damage is not that impressive. I think I just go for the really good block here. Could save it for when I have Torbran on board, because if they can't kill Torbran, then it is 3 damage when it dies. It's basically a 3-1 on board. Oh no. I don't like seeing that at all. My opponent just passes turn. I mean, that means they don't have a 4th land drop, but at the same time, we know they could cast something and they chose not to. Which means they probably have like a lightning strike to kill our Phoenix of Ash or something like that. I don't really have a way to play around that, because I can't just sit here and use a removal spell on the pup. I don't have a spell that does enough damage, so I just have to play Torbran attack and hope Phoenix actually makes it in. Maybe it does. Okay, I guess they just had sorcery speed stuff they didn't want to play. They were thinking during their main phases, so they could have cast something. Chose not to. Maybe it was a cheap, like, removal spell, but they wanted to keep it for something more impressive, like a Torbran, instead of a Phoenix. I would hope not. Okay, there's a Rekindling Phoenix. I think I can just kill them here. Because all of my spells that damage their face do additional damage. I think if I math this out, I just kill them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Oh, I definitely kill them. So we need to kill the Phoenix. This is going to be 4 damage, so it's going to kill it. We also need to kill the token that the Phoenix makes. So Torbran can't get blocked. So Torbran doesn't get blocked. Then we attack with both. That's going to be 8 damage, and then we lightning bolt the face. And it's going to be 5 more. Alright, Torbran just leads to some devastating plays if your opponent can't immediately remove Torbran. And that's going to lead to a nice, quick victory for us there. Definitely rough time for our opponent. I don't think we would get there without the Torbran. They had some good stuff between the pup, the Simulacrum, and the Rekindling Phoenix to try to outrace us. So, really nice way to end it. Very close game in the end, but still one where we get to do some explosive burnination, leading us to a 7-win run here with this great mono red deck. We're getting 6,000 gold and 3 cards out of this event. Very nice rewards. I usually like to go look at the deck again when we finish off, talk about under and over performers. Honestly, the only thing I would really say about this mono red deck, it's very standard stuff. Pretty much everything in the deck is stuff you're going to see in basically every mono red deck. Everything was great. Biggest underperformer, easily Mishra's Command. Yes, it did win us some games on the play, but almost any burn spell would have won pretty much any of those games. And it definitely was not helpful when we were on the draw and we're facing like 3 3s on our opponent's board while I have 3 mana. That was kind of a constant occurrence, and it was a really bad time for the Mishra's Command to be like that. So actually not a very big fan of Mishra's Command, but I think that's it. I think that's the only card I really didn't like here. Everything else did its job. All the removal spells were removal. All the burn spells were burn. All the creatures were great. Just the beat sticks. That's pretty much it. Everything else was awesome. So biggest learning point there is Mishra's Command. Very bad on the draw. Not a super spicy card. I might leave it in the sideboard for best of 3 drafts from now on. So check out our rewards as we end the video. Very great ones. 3 rares, all from historic sets, which is very cool stuff. Yeah, just super cool rares. But that is going to end today's video. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more, you can like, comment, and subscribe to let the YouTube algorithm know to send you some more in your recommended feeds. We've got some more Arena Cube drafts coming. They're on Arena until January 2023, so I'll see you all for a few more of those. Just a few more days until the new year. I hope you're all very excited for the new year. I am very excited for personal reasons and for content creation reasons that we'll be talking about soon. I'm going to do a lot of content next year. I already do a lot of content every year, but we'll talk about it soon. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.